This is Mickey Lyxx, and you're listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Isn't it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dog Bowl Studio is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on X at No Shock Pod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Big Strix Vinyl Records and Sports Cards, located in Rock Island, Illinois. New, vintage, and previously owned. You can find it at Big Strix. We'd like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro. And bumper ending, tonight's guest is
Mickey Lyxx.
Yeah, he's promoting his 3 new singles, Washington Spies, Persepolis, and Gates of Buda.
Yeah,
fantastic songs.
Also working on his second full-length, awesome power metal shredder.
Fantastic. Let's get to it.
All right, good night.
Good night. Mickey, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. Would like to introduce you, my co-host, Jeff Untied.
Mickey, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Hey, we're honored to have you on tonight. So let's get right into this. You have released 3 singles since January. Before we break down each track, can you talk to us about your methodology of releasing a single, I guess, basically every other month?
Yeah, well, you know what? I just like to keep people engaged. You know what I mean? I think it's cool when if an artist that you follow, or even just as an artist, right, building the stuff up, it's kind of interesting to just, have it come out every other month. That way it's kind of like Christmas every other month, not only, I guess for an artist standpoint, especially, it's nice to be able to share music every month and not have to wait. You know what I mean? Exactly. Like do a year and a half between. I think I'd get a little stir crazy having to wait.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I guess, in this new age of kind of self-promotion, can you talk a little bit about your approach to, using stuff like Bandcamp and other avenues?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I'm not really too well-versed in, Bandcamp. Yeah. But I do think a reason for, a lot of single releases, right, is because I do think that is at least tends to be that I noticed the new landscape, right? Is it's a lot of singles, almost like kind of how it was in the 50s, right? Where it was single releases, it wasn't so much albums. So I think in today's landscape, I think that's just kind of, it's important. It's a little different, but it's interesting, and it's always just interesting to keep your eye out on the times and how they're changing. But the Bandcamp is something I do have to up my game a bit on, I will admit.
The thing that fascinates me, and also kind of on the flip side, also I guess fears me for artists, is that there's so much stuff being uploaded every day on these streaming services. How do you try to keep yourself separated from a lot of the stuff that's up there? Releasing stuff every other month is frequent, but I guess maybe is it even frequent enough in this modern day of the music industry?
Yeah, that's a good question. But I think the thing that distinguishes you the most is how present you are overall, right? I mean, someone could definitely release music consistently. That's, what I mean? I think that's great. But I think what it comes down to, especially nowadays, is you have to learn to be good at everything. As a musician, it could be a little bit tedious at sometimes, especially like when it's always changing, and then you're always like, dang it, I have to learn how to do this now? You know what I mean? Because, like, musicians 30, 40 years ago didn't have to worry about posting on Instagram every day, you know what I mean? They didn't have to worry about, I just played a show, let me put a thank you online. But, it engages people and it gets people to be interested in what you're doing. So I think, there are people who probably upload every week, I would imagine, a new song. Mm-hmm. It's about how you work everything else, right? Whether it's your social media, whether it's just being there in person, playing shows, you know what I mean? There's so many ways to push what you're doing to, like, stand out, but it does take a lot of work.
It definitely does.
Well, you were a heck of a shredder. Talk a little bit about, your journey in guitar, and did you study under anybody or self-taught, or how did it work?
Well, first off, thank you. I appreciate it. Second off, I always grew up around guitar. My dad's a guitar player, so I didn't play guitar growing up. I was an ice hockey player growing up, okay. But I've always been around music. And I got injured, but then I started to pick it up. I just started to slowly just get into it, so it's always been around. I mean, I did grow up listening to guitar. I wasn't like, it wasn't like I was sheltered. Like, by the age of 3, I was listening to Van Halen. I grew up on bands like them, Rat, Dokken, Pantera, and then as I got older, I got into more like the power metal stuff.
Yeah.
But through my journey, I mean, it's been nice. I've been so honored enough to get to study under Jackie Vincent from Falling in Reverse, and he was one of those players where, I mean, I liked him when I was a kid, and I didn't even play guitar. I just thought he was an amazing guitar player. But as I started to play guitar, you really start to realize how amazing the guy is, and the opportunity came that I was able to study under him, and it's I still keep we still talk once in a while. We'll trade licks back and forth, and just it's cool. So I got to do a lot of that, and then otherwise, it's just practice, right? Practice. Most of my teenage years were spent in my room, not doing much besides practicing. But it paid off. So,
well, you're endorsed by Chevelle Guitars. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Talk a little bit more about your gear and the guitars that you do use when you're playing live, and opposed to that when you're working in the studio.
Yeah, so I mean, I do keep very consistent. It's always usually Chevelles for me with guitars. I mean, once in a while I'll use a Jackson, or if a gig calls for it, sometimes we'll use a Fender Strat. But usually recording, I mean, well, first off, I'll go live. Usually live, I'm a big Chevelle DK24 guy. Once in a while, I'll use maybe a San Dimas or a SoCal, but usually always a DK24. In the bridge, like pickup wise, I usually like an X2N, a DiMarzio. It's a little obnoxious. I don't record with an X2N, but live, do like it. It's very nice. I know it's a high output, but it's still you're in a live setting. You're playing metal, It's okay to push a little bit. As far as strings go, I mean, recording and live, I always use Elixir. I think they have a great tone. I mean, it's funny just to say it, but I sweat a lot when I play, right? So for me, it was important that I have a string that lasts. So I've used a lot of companies, but they rust very quick. Like I've gone through strings in a day with just like playing because they rust quick. Because I sweat when I play. So I started using Elixirs, and that was kind of it, right? So like I can get through a whole month-long tour, maybe changing my strings once, and be fine. It's just, and they don't lose their tone, which is just miraculous. I use FU tone parts for some of my guitars. They're always really great. Adam's, he's a great dude. And then for my amps, I mean, if I'm bringing the amp, I'm a huge EVH guy, endorsed by EVH. But when I'm on the road, I've switched, but right now I'm using a Fender Tone Master. I get really, really great sounds out of that. And then for recording lives with guitars, I'll be honest with you, it's just whatever I think sounds good in the room. Usually it is a Chevelle, but, sometimes I'll maybe bring something that is unusual out that I'm like, oh, well, this sounds good today, so I'm going to use this,
Oh, very good.
Well, let's talk about one of your newest singles. Just came out May 8th, Washington Spies. Can you give our insiders a little hint into the recording process for that song?
Oh, yeah, of course. So Washington Spies, well, just to give the overview of what it's about first off, and then I'll get a bit into the process. Washington Spies is about the coal perspiring on Long Island, which is something that I don't think is a story that's very told much. You know, especially we all live on Long Island, and I would say not everybody knows that there's history to where we live, right? I think in America sometimes maybe that's taken for granted because our country isn't so old, right? That people are like, yeah, well, you know, we don't really have that much history, which is not true, right? which is definitely not true. We have a lot of history. Even if it's newer, we still have a lot of history. So I think it was a very, for me, a very fun thing because it's like a hometown topic that not everybody in the hometown knows about. I think it's very unique. As far as the process goes with this song, I'll be honest with you, writing this song, the main riff in the song I just got from, I was just demoing, I was actually demoing my Fender Tonemaster for like one of the first sit-downs with it. And I just came up with that riff. And then I got in the room with my drummer, Steve, and we started just kind of, you know, shaping it. And we probably wrote that song at this point probably almost a year ago, I'm going to say. But it was just always sitting. Like, you know what I mean? It was just, I was trying to get a vocal melody for it. And then I sat down with Jill, and we finally got it. And it was like, oh, perfect. So, you know, the song did take a while. It was mostly done probably in like July or August. We had it fully finished, but it was just like there was no vocal to it yet. So it was sitting for a bit, but it was a fun one to record. And I think for me, it really, like the lead really pushed me, which I was really happy about. And it came out really good. Joe Marcel mixed it. He mixes all my stuff, and he did a fantastic job. I just couldn't be happier with it.
Oh, it's such a cool song. You released, was it Persepolis, in March of 2026. It takes us on another history lesson of the Persian Empire journey. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about the story and also the creation of the song?
Yeah, of course. So the story is about the ancient city of Persepolis in ancient Iran, Persia. And it's just a very fascinating topic. It's like, yet again, a topic that I don't think is discussed enough. And for me, I think with these songs that I'm writing about history, but I don't always want to write the most obvious story, right? Like you can write about Babylon, if you're writing about ancient cities, you can write about Rome, you can write about Babylon, you can write about Jerusalem, you could go down the list. But Persepolis is something that I just don't think is talked about a lot, and I think it's a very interesting topic. So the song itself is just the story of Persepolis, right? I don't this was song for me, it was very important that there was no clear winner and no clear loser, right? I'm just telling the story because I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, he's bashing on my culture. That's not true. I'm just telling the story of it. And there, you know, I put a lot of themes in there of you know, telling the story. And, you know, like the second verse, for instance, there's a lot of references to Alexander the Great, Greece, right? And I think that's something for them to be proud of. But also I put messages in that song for the Persian people. So it's like, hey, you know, this song isn't just bashing you. So don't think it's that. It's embracing what you had and your culture. As far as the recording process of that goes, that one was written relatively recent. I just, like most things, honestly, I just was playing with this riff, and then I started to add keys to it, and I was like, oh, wait, this is kind of cool. I'm liking this. And, you know, I think it's just one thing leads to another, and I'm jumping down this rabbit hole, right, of like, okay, now this, and I'll let something sit for like a day, and then I'm like, wait, no, I don't like that. No, change that. And then, you know, I always get everybody's input, and we all make it like a nice melting pot of everything, and out came that song.
It's very, very cool.
Well, when you're writing these, how hard is it to walk away from the finished product?
I'm sorry, to walk away from?
When you finish a song, like to just say, okay, I'm done, walk away. How hard is it for you? Or do you want to keep tinkering?
I think it just depends on the song, right? Sometimes I think I just know that it's like, all right, that's enough, right? Because if I keep tinkering, then the song ain't gonna come out. You know what I mean? So I think it's a fine balance between like, okay, this is definitely enough. Because I feel like I could go more nuts, but like it's like I think at that point you just sacrifice the integrity of the song, right? I think then it just becomes like just personal pleasure over. I mean, not that this isn't personal pleasure, right? But I think it becomes less like trying to write a song and more just like, look, I added like 50 layers of keys and 5 guitar solos.
Yeah.
Well, we've spoke to many artists that, when they're recording a new album or a new track or whatever, they find it very difficult to walk away and not tinker any longer. Do you have those issues ever when you're in the studio creating? Or I feel like maybe you're pretty streamlined on your work.
Yeah, I think for me, I'll be honest, being totally honest, I think most of the time I feel like I know when I'm done. I think because at that point, as a artist, you kind of just look at it overall and you go, I don't think I could add any more to this. Like I said, I could get overboard, but when you're trying to write a song, I think it's just important that you want it so people can sing along and reach, feel it connect. And I think if you overwhelm it with too many things, it starts to lose that factor. So I think for me, I kind of understand the point, but there are times where I'm like, no, wait, it needs this. No, wait, it needs this. No, wait, it needs this. And I guarantee in 2 years from now, I'll listen to one of these songs and go, oh, I should have added that. But, that's why you play live. You add that live.
Absolutely.
Well, talk a little bit more about working with Joya. Can you talk a little bit more about working with her? And I mean, what a power of vocals.
Yeah. Well, she's absolutely fantastic. We've been working together for about 3 years now. And as funny as it is, she's actually my stepmom. So for me, it works out really nicely because, she's in the house, so we're able to write together a lot of the time. You know what I mean? A lot of these ideas, I write a lot of the instrumental. Steve writes with me. But as far as vocal goes, I'm kind of it's not really entirely my realm. I mean, I can write a melody, you know what I mean? But it's not, I can lay down crappy demo vocals and then I just kind of let her do her magic, do her thing with it. And she's fantastic. I mean, it's funny because I've always had this thing I've noticed in my career where you could tell musicians who are brilliant with theory, and then you can tell there's musicians who are just naturally have it, right? So, like, for instance, I'm going to bring up Jackie Vincent again, because I studied with Jackie for a long time, and he's one of those musicians where he's a brilliant musician, but amazing theory. He can explain to you every ounce of why he's doing something, and I think that's really fascinating.
Yeah.
But what I love about a musician like Jill is we'll be recording and she'll do a melody and it's like, all right, I need you to do a harmony, and she doesn't think of it. She doesn't know, it's not like this is I'm going to do a major third and then it's going to go to the sixth and then here. No, it just comes out, right? It's so natural. And for me, I'm sitting there like, dude, I would have had to think about this. You know what I mean? This would have taken me easily 5 to 10 minutes to think of this vocal harmony. I mean, sometimes it comes natural, but not always. But it's like it's to that point where it's like, that's scary good, So she's absolutely fantastic. I mean, and she's great to be around. I think with a project, it's very important that the people in it are fun and not putting your head down, right? So she just lifts the atmosphere a lot, and she's a phenomenal singer, really.
Absolutely. Well, finally, Gates of Buda was released in January of 2026. That song is a blazer.
Yeah.
I mean, it is hot, smoking. Always a history lesson, and it makes the story very unique, the way the song is played. Can you talk a little bit more about it?
Yeah, of course. So that song is written about the Siege of Buda in 1686. To be honest with you, don't really know how I fully got to that. I mean, I was researching, right? Yeah. Because I started writing Gates of Buda, I think, in November. Because I was in, I started writing it in November. And I remember most of the song, the form was finished relatively quick. I was just having one of those days where you just get in the studio and it's like everything's clicking. Which, if every day could be like that, I would be very happy. But I was just having one of those days where everything was clicking and it came very quick. So just researching topics with, I want to start writing, because that was the first single I really put out where it's like, all right, we're going to start leaning into this historic power metal thing. Because I've always been a huge Sabaton fan. I've always been a huge Civil War fan. And I think there's not a lot of bands who do it consistently. And I think it's a really cool thing to be doing. I think it's untapped, I feel. So, I started researching topics. And I guess because I've been so fortunate enough that I've gotten to do a lot of touring, which is it's been it's made my heart happy that I've gotten to do this much touring. But so I look back to researching all this stuff, and then looking into my travels, and I'm like, for the first time last summer I got to visit Budapest. I've been to Hungary before, but I never got to go to the capital. And so I saw the Siege of Buda come up. A different year of it came up though. I think it was 81 came up, and it clicked to me right away. I was like, okay, I think I know my topic. And I did more research into it. And then I felt it clicked more with 86 because it felt, I know I'm nerding out here, so I apologize, guys. But it felt more appropriate. I think it just felt like, reclaiming something that was once yours. And it's very heroic. I like that. And so from there, as soon as I chose the topic, it just like, I've never been like great at writing lyrics, but it just came quick. I was like, oh yeah, okay, oh yeah. And it clicked great. And, I was really happy with that because it felt like I felt like I was very much embracing culture and stories that aren't, like I said, stories that aren't talked about. So it was very cool to see like the outpouring from a lot of people from Hungary, especially fans that have gotten to play in front of them, like, oh my God, like you wrote that? That's so cool. So for me, that song holds a really special place because I think it's a really heroic story. I really just love the groove of the song, how just relentless it is. And I mean, it's just, for me, it was very, very fun to write. Very fun to write.
Yeah. So cool. Yeah. Well, they're fun to listen to, and you've got some really cool accompanying videos for these songs. Can you talk a little bit more about the process of your approach and who you're working with to make the videos
totally.
Happen?
So with the first two videos, I was working with a guy named Tony DeFille. He's on Long Island, and he is absolutely phenomenal. I can guarantee you will see more videos. I work with him because the stuff he does is just mind blowing. I mean, so he uses green screen. Yeah. And then he's able to make these landscapes, and he puts them in, like, he makes these, it makes it like a story. And I really like when I watch those videos that it's a story, right? It's, you feel like you're immersed in the story, and I really enjoy that. So those first two videos were working with him, and I just love it. But for the last video, I decided to switch it up a bit and just give something a bit more natural. So for Washington Spies, it was shot right here on Long Island, just in the middle of the woods. We're working with a lot of filters, and actually me and my dad are very much into doing all this like video and editing. So when it was time to shoot it, he was like, yeah, I'll shoot it. And then we just sat down and edited through it together. Like within a couple of days, we were just like sitting there like, maybe this, maybe this. And it's cool because then you get another side of the industry, which I really like, right? You get a side of like, all right, video editing and video shooting and keeping it kind of contained in-house, which is also cool. So that way you're not always reliant on something or someone. You just you're able to do it yourself, which I think is a very unique thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, just to follow on that real quick, I guess your comfortness behind the video. We talk to a lot of artists that are like, I don't want to be in the video. put words on there, But can you talk a little bit about being in your own videos?
Oh well, yeah. It's great. I mean, I love shooting music videos. I have a crap ton of fun with it, but I think it's a little bit easier, to be honest. I think because when I started doing what I do now, I've always been in front of the camera. Like I think at this day and age, you can't not be in front of the camera. You know what I mean? If you're a newer artist, if you want to succeed, you have to be in front of the camera. So for me, it's like, okay, I've been doing this since I was 14, 15. I think this is easy. You know what I mean? I'm used to the camera at this point. I mean, I still get like, what do they call it? Like red light syndrome, where it's like the second the light turns on, you're like, all right, I'm going to screw everything up. But that's more with like recording and playing. You know what I mean? Where it's like the second I know I can lay down the tastiest solo, and then the second I know someone's recording, it's going to sound like just horrible. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's fun, especially when it's your own thing. It's like there's even more passion behind it.
Awesome, very cool. Switch gears on you here. As I navigated your website, it's extremely informative and user friendly.
Yeah.
Your merch store is vast with some really unique designs. Tell us a little bit more about your merch store and your website design.
Thank you. Okay, yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for the compliment about the website. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
As far as the merch store goes, I started using Printify. Everyone who's listening, you can go check it out through my website. They're a very good company. I actually recently just switched merch providers. I was using Teespring for a while, but I just found that the customer service wasn't that great, and I think sometimes it's like people would order and they'd be like, I never got it. It's like, well, that's not good.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I switched, and I made sure to test it beforehand. Everything's great with it. They provide a lot of cool things, so it's really great for fans who maybe want something specific from a single, you know what I mean, whether they want a Gates of Buda or just maybe a generic or Washington Spies or whatever's coming up in the future, right? Mm-hmm. I think they're really good at what they do. And as far as the website goes, well, one, like I said, I appreciate it, and two, that's done in-house. I mean, what's really nice is my dad knows how to do this stuff, so we do it together. We sit down and we figure it out. We learn from other people's websites and go, okay, what can we put here? What can we put here? And you just kind of learn. It's one big learning process, right?
We've gone to many artist websites where they're not that user friendly, and they feel like maybe they're antiquated, or it's just so much information jammed down your throat you don't even know where to start. But with your website, it's pretty basic as far as breaking things down to to very specific topic on your website. Was it a difficult thing for you to design, you and your father, or did it come pretty naturally to you? To you both?
I think, I have to give him most of the credit on this because he's very good with like Photoshop and this stuff. So I just sit there and we're doing it together. But like he knows how to really do this, and I'm sitting there and I'm maybe this, maybe this, maybe this. But it's still learning from that. So I think for him, I know it wasn't hard. For me, I mean, if I did that on my own, I'd probably be pretty screwed. Being totally honest. But as far as the website goes, like I said, it's just making things very digestible, right? Like you don't want to have to solve you don't have to do 5 levels of Angry Birds before you figure out what my tour dates are. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You just want to see it right there and go, okay, that's when I can go see him.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah.
Well, you were talking about touring with summer coming up and a lot of bands going on the road. Do you have any plans for the summer?
So for the summer right now, I'm actually going to be just staying local and just working on the music at this point. I think it's important that I take the time I have right now to record, and we're getting very close to finish. I know we've talked about this briefly, but having the album ready is going to be the real big thing, and touring is going to be looking for next year. But I can say that there are a few things already that are going to be coming up. I can't say anything just yet, but I would just say for anyone listening to just keep an eye out because, things are going to happen. I'm very excited to announce it once we're able to, and it's going to be really fantastic. I can't wait to bring this out on the road. I mean, I've played with, doing this Mickey Lyxx band for a long time, but I've always been passionate about it, but for the first time doing it, like, I feel like on fire about it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. This is really what I want to do. And I really feel like people are going to connect with it and have fun.
That is so cool. And it's refreshing to see a young artist like yourself excited about rock and roll and heavy metal. It seems like this is something that we've lost in the past years. But for you, with the excitement that you have for the business and the genre, will we ever see a time where that mystery of rock and roll will ever come back again? Or do you just feel like the social medias, we've lost all that?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I can't say what things, I don't know what in 20 years what the big craze is going to be, right? Like, we could be doing something else. But I think as of right now, as much as I hate to say it, I think the mystery is kind of gone. Because you can see into everything at this point. You know what I mean? You see all behind the scenes, and I'm guilty of it too. Like, behind the scenes of this, behind the scenes of that. There's always a constant peek behind the curtain, right? Sure. Like, if you go on my page, you can see, like, I've done tour diaries and this and that, and because it engages and you make more fans from it. But as much as I love doing that, it is also it loses the mystique, right? But I do think at this point it's kind of hard to be a band who has that mystique, because it's like, at this point, if you have that mystique, you, like, I don't know, I don't want to sound like ignorant, but I just think it's kind of harder to get noticed when you have that mystique, right? Because you're not out there in front of everybody, like on social media to see.
And you also spoke about, your enjoyment of making music video. But, one thing that really built the mystique of rock and roll was MTV back in the day and the music video. And we don't have that platform anymore outside of YouTube. How important is it for rock and roll, heavy metal music to still use the music video as a platform?
Yeah, well, I think it's very important. I mean, I think, a lot has changed through the years, but I think one thing that still hasn't changed is a good music video, right?
Yeah.
People still love to see a good music video. It doesn't matter if it's 1983. It doesn't matter if it's 2023. People love a good music video. So I think that's just very important. I mean, I know it's a bit different now, right? It's not on MTV. There's no looping, and it's not like, oh, okay, you happen to bump into new music videos because it's on the TV. Yeah. With this, you kind of have to search it up, or as an artist, you have to promote it enough so people do go and watch it. Which, that's not the easiest task, but it's a doable task, right? But I do think the importance of the music video is still very there. I mean, for me personally, if I'm going to release a single, I'm not going to release it without a music video because I don't think it will do nearly as well. That's just my personal opinion, and it's something that I've noticed when I release music. If I don't release it with a music video, it just doesn't do as well because it's not as it doesn't captivate people as much. I mean, the music may. Don't get me wrong. The music definitely can, captivate people, but it's a matter of visuals. People want to see visuals, especially for new fans. People who are already fans of me will go and listen to a song that I recorded and released. But it's people who don't know who I am. I think that's where it becomes very important.
No, well said.
Yeah. Well, I want to take it back. So I know you're not touring right now, but let's take it back to some prior tours and stuff. Did I read that you've played at the Wacken Open Air Festival?
Yes, I did play at Wacken.
Can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Oh, yeah, it's great. I mean, it's the best metal festival in the world. I truly believe that. I mean, it's the top metal festival I've been one. I knew of that festival when I first started getting into metal. So for me, it was kind of just like, it was a dream come true. And, I didn't even really play like a big stage, but it's just Wacken, it's a certain environment. I know they call it like the holy ground and stuff, but it really is. There's a certain vibe in the air with Wacken that it's just like nobody can replicate that.
Well, I have one last question for you. As far as your songwriting goes, your archives of unreleased material, is it stuff that do you shelve and save for a later time, or do you write it and record it right away and use it? Because we've talked to so many artists that hold on to stuff or stuff they don't hold on to at all. They release everything that they record. But for Mickey Lyxx, how does it work?
So for me, I think it's, I'm constantly recording. I mean, I'll be honest. So for the past 2 years, I didn't record as much. I think my directions were changing a lot. I've done a lot of hired hand work in my career, and I still do hired hand work. I love doing hired hand work. It's, there's no more freeing feeling than going on the road knowing that you're responsible for almost nothing except playing. What I mean? That's a very great feeling to know. It's like, all right, none of this comes down on me. I just got to go play play the best I can, have fun, and that's awesome. And there's so much enjoyment to that, but it is time consuming. Don't get me wrong. So it hasn't, like, I didn't find a lot of time to record because it was always like, all right, I'm busy learning someone else's set list or doing this and doing that. Like I said, I still do it. I love it. But I think I started to free up my schedule a bit more. I stopped doing a couple projects. And so for me, it was like, all right, I have this time now. I want to focus on me. And so for the past, 3 years, I mean, I have an album out that came out in 2022. And don't get me wrong, I'm very passionate about that, but it was a lot of instrumental, and it was a lot of just dipping my feet in, getting the feel of it. And then last year, I was working on some pop rock stuff that was like very commercial, and I enjoyed it, but I knew it wasn't. After a while, I kind of came to terms with it's like, this isn't what really I want to do. I'm enjoying writing this. And I think it wasn't until recently that I really found the direction that I was like, I've loved power metal forever. I've loved the genre. I love everything about it. So for me, I became very passionate about it, and I finally found like I was comfortable writing a lot of it. So for me, as far as like shelving goes, I mean, I don't really have a lot. I'll be honest with you, I don't have a lot of songs that are like archived and not out. I mean, I have a few, but I think for me, it's just more of, okay, write the song, and if it's not clicking, then just move on and go back to it another time, right? And I have a lot of songs, especially with what I'm working with now and putting together this album, that when I first wrote it, I wasn't really a huge fan of, but I listened to it quite a few times and was like, you know what? I think it needs this, and it needs this, and it needs this. And I think I'm not trying to like pat myself on the back here, but I will say that I think I do catch on pretty quick after a while of like what a song needs, at least in my perspective. Everybody could see things totally different and be like, oh, I wouldn't make that choice. But for me, I make that choice, right? Where it's like, no, I think it needs this. Maybe let me try this. So as far as it goes, I don't have much archived because I think I think this is just how my personality is. I want to finish it, right? Like I want it to be like a finished product in my hand. Like, oh yeah, like I did this. It may have taken a bit, but I got it done.
Oh, fair enough. Good.
I got one last question. So you talked about being from New York. And and New York back in the day, legendary for clubs. New York, New Jersey. Yeah. You could travel, in a short distance and go to 100 different clubs. But I know a lot of them have closed up. A lot of them are. But what's it like now? Are there still places to for young guys like you to play?
I will say it's a little hard. Yeah. It's I live on Long Island. I'm about an hour and a half out of the city. On Long Island, it's very tough. I love where I live, but I would be wrong in saying that it's great for original music because, to be honest with you, it's not so easy here with original music. Everybody loves cover music. It's just a big thing, especially because we have all these great venues, but like these beachside venues, and they're beautiful, but nobody's going on a Saturday night to hear, original music. Everybody is going because they want to hear all the 80s and 90s stuff. And I get that. I get that. It's, if you want to just go and have a good time. But the problem is, I think it's hurting original music, right? It's hurting because it's like, you have to support these original acts, or else in 20 years, there will be no cover bands. What are you going to keep covering stuff from the 80s? You know what I mean? Eventually you run out of music. So on the island, it's tough. I mean, we have a few venues that support like original, but they're not huge, right? They're very small. It's just it's not so easy. The market's not so great. That's why for me, I cater to a lot of audiences, but I think I always see the most success in Europe is because they're very into the original music over there. You know what I mean? They're very supportive of it, and I think they understand that if we just keep listening to the old stuff, there will be no progress. There will be none of that.
And that's too bad because help me out. Isn't Long Island that's Twisted Sister land, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
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 So there's
a lot of.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say there's a lot of great bands and musicians from here, but it's it's starting to get harder because it's just such a cover song predominantly ruled by covers. That's what I was trying to say.
Yep. Well, hey, we are out of our allotted time for the evening. Is there anything that we left off tonight that you would like to plug or promote?
Oh, well, just the usual. Just as far as the songs go, any stream is appreciated. I really appreciate all the support that's been going on. If you want to check everything out, I mean, www.mickeylyxx.com. Instagram's Mickey@_Lyxx. Facebook's Mickey Lyxx, and I'm just releasing consistently releasing music. Touring is going to be announced probably pretty soon, and as far as an album goes, that will also be. It's in the works. I would imagine keep an eye out for like early 2027.
Oh, fantastic. Well, this is how things are going to work out. Once Jeff, the editing wizard over here, gets everything cleaned up, we will send it to you. I'll text you the link, and please share it on all your socials. We'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Mickey, thank you so much. It was an honor to have you tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Look forward to
Thank you, guys. Had a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we'll be back in touch with you with the link.
Perfect. Great.
Thanks,
thank you, guys.
Take care of yourself.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night. You too. Bye.
stone and makes their own mistakes. Hide in the headlights, fight the grip of fear. You can make your dreams come true, but you just can't do it here. Hey. Everybody eyes the gun and screams inside their head. Everybody bites their tongue and pays their bills instead. Hide in the spotlights, fight the grip of death. You can have the air you need, but you best not take one breath. Hey. Roll the dice. Take your chances. Everybody knows the game is fixed, there is no prize. Everybody pulls the plug and says their last goodbyes. Move to the sunshine, fight the grip of